Empress Elisabeth of Austria, born in 1837, was obsessed with maintaining her legendary beauty and her impossibly tiny waist. She exercised for hours daily, followed extreme diets, and often survived on almost nothing. But here's what most people don't know. Sisi wasn't always restricting. When she felt safe, when she was away from the judging eyes of the Viennese court, when she was travelling or in the company of people she trusted, she ate. And she had very specific favourites. These 5 dishes tell us more about the real Elizabeth than any portrait ever could. They connect her to her Bavarian childhood, her beloved Hungary, her travels, and the comfort she desperately sought. So let's count down from number 5 to her absolute favourite dish. At number 5 is Sisi's most elegant obsession, violet sorbet. Her chefs would prepare this delicate frozen dessert using fresh violet petals, sugar, and ice. Servants would collect fresh violets from the palace gardens, steep the petals in sugar syrup, and freeze it into something that was both beautiful and fragrant. Sisi loved it because sorbet was low in calories, so perfectly fitting her strict regime. It was also delicate and aristocratic, very her. And of course, violet sorbet was visually stunning with a pale purple colour. At court dinners, while everyone else ate cream cakes and chocolate, she'd sit there with her violet ice, feeling virtuous and in control. In a life of constant restriction, this was one sweet she could allow herself without guilt. Number 4. Game consommé. A crystal clear, intensely flavoured broth made from wild game like venison or pheasant. This was Sisi's secret weapon at formal dinners. The preparation took hours, roasting game bones, simmering with vegetables, clarifying with egg whites until perfectly transparent. It was liquid elegance. Sisi loved it because this broth was virtually calorie-free but incredibly flavourful. It also let her appear to participate in 10 to 14 course banquets without actually eating. And finally, game consommé was a warm, comforting dish without being heavy. Her lady-in-waiting wrote that the Empress could sit through entire state dinners consuming almost nothing but clear soup. For Sisi, this was the best of both worlds. Participate in court dining without compromising her figure. Number 3. Fresh strawberries with whipped cream. For someone as restrictive as Sisi, this was a real indulgence, and she had specific requirements. Strawberries had to be picked that morning, preferably small, wild strawberries, because those were more flavourful. Cream lightly whipped, not too sweet, served in a crystal bowl. During strawberry season, she'd eat them almost daily. She'd even have them sent to her wherever she was travelling. She also crushed them for face masks, so strawberries served double duty in her beauty regime. But this dish also had a deeper meaning to Empress Elisabeth. Strawberries and cream is a childhood treat, something innocent and pure. For Sisi, who married at 15, this dish connected her to simpler times, before corsets and court protocols. When travelling through the Hungarian countryside, she'd stop at farms and request fresh strawberries. Moments where she could just be a woman enjoying fruit, not an empress maintaining an image. Number 2. Hungarian chicken paprikash. Now we're getting to the good stuff. This traditional Hungarian dish, chicken braised in rich sauce with onions, paprika and sour cream, served over noodles, is the complete opposite of what you'd expect Sisi to eat. Why this was her rebellion? It was rich, creamy and full of calories, everything her diet forbade. Eating it was a political statement, showing her allegiance to Hungary over Austria. It reminded her of the freedom she felt in Budapest, away from her controlling mother-in-law. It was real food that nourishes both body and soul. Sisi loved Hungary more than Austria. She learned Hungarian fluently, championed their political cause, and loved their food. When she was at the royal palace in Budapest or travelling through the countryside, she felt liberated. She'd go horseback riding for hours, and afterwards she'd actually eat. Never underestimate the political power of food. By publicly enjoying Hungarian cuisine, Sisi was making a statement. The Austrian court noticed. Her mother-in-law definitely noticed, and Sisi didn't care. This dish represents everything she couldn't have in Vienna: freedom, authenticity, warmth, and satisfaction. And here we are, Empress Sisi's absolute favourite dish, Bavarian beef soup with semolina dumplings. After everything about raw meat juice and starvation diets, this might seem shockingly normal. And that's exactly the point. What is it? Clear beef broth made from boiled beef, vegetables and spices, served with light, fluffy semolina dumplings. It's traditional Bavarian Austrian comfort food. It's what mothers make when their children are sick. It's home. Why, this was number one. This was the food of Sisi's childhood in Bavaria before she became empress. Before the corsets, before the pressure, before the constant weighing and measuring. This soup represented who she was before the world told her who she had to be. Sisi grew up in a relatively relaxed Bavarian ducal family, much less formal than the Austrian Habsburgs. She had freedom. She could be herself. She could eat without judgment. But here is the heartbreaking truth behind the woman who starved herself, who drank vinegar to suppress her appetite, who squeezed raw meat for juice. Her favourite food was simple, nourishing soup. The kind of meal that says, you are loved, you are safe, you can rest now. Sisi never found that peace. She was restless her entire life, travelling constantly, running from something she could never escape. But in those moments with a bowl of beef soup and dumplings, maybe she got close. Maybe she could taste home. So there you have it, Empress Sisi's top 5 favourite foods, from violet sorbet to Bavarian beef soup. What's striking is the contradiction. This woman, famous for not eating, had such specific, passionate food preferences. The foods she loved tell us she wasn't just a beautiful mannequin. She was a complex person with deep emotional connections to comfort, freedom, and home. Her favourites reveal her Bavarian roots, her love for Hungary, her need for control, and her desperate desire for the simple comforts she'd lost when she became empress at 15. Sisi died in 1898, assassinated in Geneva. She never found the peace she was searching for. But maybe when she ate that beef soup with semolina dumplings, she could taste what peace might have felt like. If you enjoyed this royal food journey, hit that like button and subscribe for more historical deep dives.